Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Brahmanandam Paramasukhadam Kevalam Jnanamurtim Dvandvatitam Gagan Sadrisham Tattvamasyadi Lakshyam Ekam Nityam Vimalamachalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Trigunarahitam Sadgurum Tam Namami. Om. Adoration to Sadguru, who is Brahman, the giver of supreme bliss, embodiment of pure consciousness, one without a second, vast as the ether, infinite, eternal, beyond the three gunas and their modifications, the supreme preceptor. Yoga Vasistha, Stithi Prakarana, section 57. Sage Vasishtha continues to lead Rama to enlightenment. Majority of people pursue the objects of the world which are only products of Maya. Simple point. Majority here refers to all those who are not enlightened and who are not following the path that leads to enlightenment. Even those who are not following the path, they are being pushed by cosmic will. But the push becomes more effective when it gets into your heart and you become aware that I am the aspirant and must follow the path. But from a general point of view, masses are trapped by Maya. Trapped by Maya, every soul wants to have perfect happiness here on this earth. If you tell them, no, none of this world, no near and dear ones, alone, you will have all the happiness. It's hard to ask. Hard to allow the mind to understand that. And yet, day by day, when you go to sleep, everyone is shaken off from you, even your own ego. And you are not at a loss at all. If you get deep insight into what happens when you go to sleep, subtle insight begins to develop. The real I am is not the body, not the mind, not the senses, not the intellect, not the ego. The real I am is the absolute self. For easier understanding, there are countless reflected suns, countless illuminations. To a childish mind, how many suns are there? There are countless. The reality is only one sun, expressing in countless ways. Now coming to more precise instruction. They are led by the impressions of attachment and hatred, raga and dvesha. First point, mind is the cause of bondage and release. Led by your mind, you are trapped in a world of illusion. And in that world, you are looking for fulfillment in three ways: putreshana, vitteshana, lokeshana. Putreshana, live in such a way that your successors will remember you, your sons, your grandsons, your great-great-grandsons. They will point out this particular kshetra was built by my forefather. So that type of fulfillment every human mind looks for. What can I do that my generations, coming generations will remember me? That's called putreshana. Next point, vitteshana. Having a lot of wealth. So much wealth that your generations continue to draw from it. This is the dream of people who want to be successful. And third type, lokeshana. You are well recognized by people. You are very rich and powerful. Every little thing happens to you, it goes all over the world. Go viral. But, shocking news, all this is in the realm of illusion. All this, these eshanas, they are supported by what is called klishtas, vasanas. Klisht refers to kleshas, afflictions. There are 5 sources of painful experiences in life. Life has predominatingly pain. Even things that you think very rejoicing, they end up with giving you more pain than whatever they gave you in the form of joy. Sarvam dukham vivekina. All this is painful. That's the first stage of awakening, sensitivity. And just to give you the chain of pain. Why is there pain? Because you have become embodied in a human body. In all animal bodies, there is pain. But in a human body, you can be pointed out the cause and you have the possibility to work for it. But pointing out all the philosophy to a puppy, that's not necessary. So, pain, embodiment. Why is there embodiment? There is karma behind it. What sustains your karmic movement, karmic bondage? Raga dvesha. The mind is always drawn to like and dislike. The attention of the mind is to hold on to things you like, to get away from things you dislike. Raga dvesha play a tremendous role. Because of raga dvesha, present loses its importance. What you are living day by day, how much the world is opening up to you, how much glory of God spreads, how many good things are also happening in the world, not just the negative things. Present is filled with inspiring situations. But due to raga dvesha in the mind, you are having a wonderful day, beautiful sunshine, breeze, but your mind, you sit on your back, and your mind has gone 5 years back. I went to a party invited for a Christmas dinner. And now a whole scene comes up. People who liked you, people who didn't like you. The gifts you received, the gifts you gave. And these days you have much more convenience. You take your iPad and start looking for it. How was it? So we spent hours of time recalling something happened 5 years back. And in that recall, not only you are recalling pleasant things, you become more engrossed in recalling people who were negative towards you. I will not detail too much on that, because the world is filled with it. But behind raga, dvesha, attachment and hatred, ego is the cause, egoism. If you don't have ego behind, then you take everything without any mental reaction. There is equanimity. Ego becomes your predominating identity. But that is not you in reality. When you go to sleep, this ego does not enjoy your deep sleep. It hears, it is a hearsay. Wakes up. When you wake up, then ego jumps back to you. When you are in deep sleep, ego lies under your bed just like your slippers. Now, raga dvesha is caused by egoism. Egoism is caused by non-discrimination. You are unable to see the difference between self and the not self. You are unable to see the difference between the body and the mind. You see, if you ask where is your mind, you point out here in my brain. But try to understand all this movement is within your mind. Your finger moved by your mind. You're pointing to the head, that's also is in your mind. All your action is mind related. Therefore, when your body becomes rendered unconscious for surgery, you don't know where your body is. You know the body through your mind. Body does not assert itself without the mind. Mind is your reality. But there is non-discrimination. And if you go further with the mind, mind is pure awareness. Atma, the self. But there is non-discrimination. That's called avivek. And it is caused by avidya, ignorance. So when you count them, pain, embodiment, karma, ragadvesha, egoism, non-discrimination, avidya, 7 chain of pain. Coming to more important point. These 5 factors known as klesha, ignorance, egoism, attachment, hatred, and fear of death. These 5 go on creating impressions in your unconscious. If those impressions dominate your mind, you live in a world of illusion, not in one life, from life to life. Just like you go through so many experiences in your dream. Wake up, not even a little grapefruit that you're eating in your dream can be recovered. And yet, while dreaming, your experiences, you had no doubt about your experiences. Every experience, you felt it, you experienced it, it was your reality. Wake up, none of them was reality. This is subtle point, should be understood. That's the way we live in this world. When whatever you are thinking in dream, the dream subject is not real, the dream world is not real, dream experience is not real. Is there any difference? While you are living in daily life, your idea, this is me. You have that idea since your babyhood. But are you the same pocket-sized edition of your body? I mean, you are very small. You continue to hold the idea, this is me. And become more sensitive, then people want to bring out their talent, to discover how much strength you have, how much successful can you be. You are always exploring your I am. You are not fully aware what you are. In brief, your awareness of I am is illusory. Your awareness of the world, this is real. Try to understand, it is such a childish and kiddish stuff. If your mind develops a higher level of thinking, a world being interpreted by you through your own senses is just like a child puts on different colored glasses and start describing the world, puts on the red and describes how the sky and everything, all is beautiful red. Papa, who created this? The fact is, nobody created this. Your eyes are giving you this experience. Your senses are giving you the experience of what human beings consider their realities. And those senses are very limited. Animals far surpass many of human senses. Certain animals can smell 5 miles away. Human nose can't smell even corner. So I will not go into too much detail. Now these kleshas exist in the form of subtle impressions. I will just give you a simple guideline. In children, the kleshas are prasupta, dormant. All children look alike. And that gives you a glimpse of enlightened state. Enlightened state is childlike state. But just you are physically a child, then that's childish state. And sometimes you don't have to be a child, can be very grown up. But can be extremely childish. You pretend to be childish, there's no harm. But you become childish, that's harmful. Children are prasupta. In them, those kleshas are as if sleeping. Next category is called tanu, attenuated state. If you stay in satsanga atmosphere, peaceful, harmonious setup of things, with your own interest in spirituality, do some sadhana, daily life, there comes a stage within yourself that you have not been angry for a whole month. You have not been so worried for a whole month. And then suddenly you develop the idea, now I have attained, my kundalini has been awakened, I have attained enlightenment. That's called tanu state. Attenuated, just like, put in a very crude way, put snake in a refrigerator. After a while you can take the snake out, it acts like a rope. You have nothing to fear about. But wait until the snake gets warmed. Or wait until you yourself start giving warm milk to the snake. So attenuated state is not the goal. It is powerful movement. From after attenuation, go after. Rooting out, burning up the roots of your impressions. But coming to enumeration of category, you have first prasupta, tanu. Next state is called kshipta. First stage is vikshipta. Vikshipta means you live your life hiding the negative, and you are skilled in hiding it. Just like you suddenly prepare your house for a party and put the dust and other things, dirty things under your rug. Everything matches up wonderful. People live their life with keeping much of the junk behind their mind. Anger, hate, greed, all that stays on. And you go on manipulating your mind. That's vikshipta state. Actually, the Sanskrit term is vichinna, which has similar meaning. And the next stage is fully developed stage. We don't hide it. It's called udara state, generous. If anger is there, but one point is there, you become exceedingly angry, and then someone reminds you, you have been practicing control of anger, and how is it? You come, don't you know I have a twin kundalini and they don't recognize it? I'm joking. You are angry and you don't even know you are angry. It grips you completely. And the last one is the goal behind Dagdha Bij. Your vasanas have become burnt up by enlightenment. They are there, but they will not give rise to, they will not give rise to new vasanas, new karmas. Just like you watch a wonderful show with popcorns moving into your mouth. And if those popcorns fall, they are not going to germinate anymore. In simple way, your vasanas sustain your life, but they are not becoming the basis for new birth. That type of vasanas become secure if you have developed love of God. And you don't give credit to your ego. If you practice integral yoga in daily life, then your whole focus is how to allow your heart to become increasingly purified. How love of God must dominate your personality. In that movement, intellect comes to understand nothing is real, God alone is. When that type of intuitive knowledge develops, it's like mystic fire. All your impressions that are based on misunderstanding and ignorance, they simply vanish. Only that portion of karma that has given you this body, called prarabdha, that stays on until your body plays its role. So sages live for their last embodiment. And while living, they are in tune with God. That's the goal to be attained. Rare are the aspirants who rise beyond attachment and hatred and endeavor to attain the self. Whether one were to rule the whole world or become the ruler of the heavenly worlds, unless he attains the knowledge of the self resulting from the extinction of vasanas, he will not experience supreme peace. Speaking of the goal of life, as long as you are led by vasanas, you may in your life gain amazing things. But there's only one defect. You can't carry anything. You never know when you will kick the bucket. And when you kick the bucket, you don't carry anything from the previous. And you may repeat many of the things that you have done in your next embodiment. You don't learn lessons from the past. So therefore, suppose you had such karma that enables you to experience rulership, become very leader or a king or a royal personality, not in one life, but repeatedly, 7 lives. There are astrologers who tell some people, you have been Emperor of Mysore 7 times. Should you be so proud about it? So in brief, all that you can gain in the world, the greatest attainment that you can imagine, all that will not give you liberation. All that doesn't match up with the joy of liberation. So this is not the goal. The goal is the knowledge of the self, Atma-Gyan. Who am I? I am, that am I. I am Brahman, the absolute self. The world doesn't exist. When you wake up from your dream, you alone exist. The entire dream never existed. The wise sages are the most valiant of heroes in destroying the enemies of the mind and senses. We talk of enemies in the form of kama, perverted desires, krodha, anger, lobha, greed, mada, conceit, pride, moha, delusions, infatuations, and matsarya, jealousy. All these working in the mind, they create a lot of muck. Sages, they have destroyed these enemies, these impurities, and they live to teach the art of removing mala from your mind. How to be nirmal. People say, I'm very normal. No matter how normal you are not nirmal. Normal comes from the same root. Languages mix up. In order to cure the disease of the birth and death, being gripped by the world, that's described as the root disease Even Ayurveda, when it starts studying it, they point the finger to the root disease, bhava-vyadhi, the disease of the world process. But this disease is to be removed by attaining jnana, atma-jnana, knowledge of the self. And knowledge of the self requires guidance, and guidance can be given by sages. So in order to cure disease of birth and death, one must learn to adore those mighty sages. But adore has to be understood properly. Yes, physical. In a normal way, you show reverence. But more profoundly, be inspired, learn lessons, be guided. The mother has cooked wonderful food for you, and you sit back and adoring the mother. It frustrates the mother because they're not eating it. Figure that out. Wherever you go, there are only 5 elements. Now, to build up vairagya, in this world you are not getting anything new. There is always something to touch, something to taste, something to smell, and something to hear, etc., according to your 5 senses. No matter how long you live, your 6th sense is not jumping up. No matter where you go, your experience of enjoyment is based on only those 5 senses. And those 5 senses, they are not very secure either. You have the best food before you, and hardly you crunched upon a nut, your tooth gets out. You go to a beautiful site. People say if you see it, you will never forget it. But hardly you open, a fly sticks into your eye. These are crude illustrations, but that's what happens. While you are going after enjoyment of the senses and find so much thrill in it, there's so many frustrations are also being built up in every experience. And the illusion continues to haunt human mind. Same experience that you have around you. Someone says, they bring you pictures of some beautiful forest with wonderful trees and lots of flowers. Come with me, and I have a building there in Switzerland. From there you can see this. Now go through a whole process while just in your own house or just within few yards before your house. There are so many wonderful trees. Better than that. Mind is led by this type of illusion. So one loses stability. One loses to follow a path in a steady manner because of mental distractions. When the objects of the senses are recognized for what they are, as illusory appearances, a wise man no longer develops attachment towards them. A wise aspirant develops a mature understanding. Life is not just to chase pleasure, but life is to integrate your personality. Live your life with such type of plan and balance that your action turns into karma yoga, your actions become meaningful, helping your heart to be free of impurities. Good action automatically removes impurity from your heart, allows your feeling to blossom. So, karma must turn to karma yoga. Your sentiments must go into a mystic, a divine transition. In other words, try to discover everything that gives you a sense of sweetness in your heart. Your mind says how loving it is. But what is loving in human being or in objects or in animals? God is the source. So why not, while loving, recognize the presence of God? As a child who loves, looks at the moon, says, "A wonderful moon. Oh, mother, give me a moon." The mother brings a little plate of water. In that water, a moon reflects. Say, "Here is the moon for you." But I'm leading you to understand that no matter whatever is the vehicle, human beings, animals, birds, whatever is the vehicle of love, love is reflecting. Whose love? God's love. But this type of understanding requires a patient practice of sadhana and requires a progressive movement. You suddenly can't switch your attention from the world, from the moha, deluded love to the profound love. But you gradually evolve. That's called spiritual growth. And when you begin to evolve, the process becomes much easier, profounder. For a wise man who conducts himself in the light of wisdom, the wisdom that the world is unreal, the self alone is the reality. For him, crossing the world process becomes as easy as crossing a water-filled pit made by a cow's hoof. The world is described as a vast ocean. You cannot swim across. But when you have allowed yourself to grow with the revelation of You are divine. Remember, revelation has 3 stages. Deha buddhyatu dasoham. From the point of view of the body, I am an instrument in divine hand. Realize your body is an instrument, not in your ego's hand, in divine hand. Therefore, all bodily realities have a divine hand behind them. So do your duties without worrying too much. Be led by God. Jiva buddhya todanshaka. Now turn your attention, you are soul. As soul, your power is beyond your imagination. A reflected sun, the potentiality of the reflected sun is amazingly much greater than the pot, greater than the water, greater than all imagination. Grow in the image of God. And finally, Atma buddhya tavaiva. Of the deepest core reality, God alone is the reality. So when you have that type of movement, the world that offers such problem, it becomes like it's an inaccessible, vast ocean. That world becomes little. You are a big elephant walking, and the whole world has become a little puddle of cow's hoof. And the Gita, Ramayana says, Garal Sudha Ripu Karay Mitai. Poison becomes nectar. Bitter enemies become dear friends. Gopad Sindhu. The entire ocean becomes cow's footprint. Anal Shitalai. All the 3 fires, the people go on talking tapa, 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 becomes cool. And that miracle awaits for everyone. You live to experience the miracle. Miracle of miracles, all is Brahman. With the extinction of vasanas, the heart of a sage becomes expansive. When vasanas, as I have described, all the klishta vasanas, afflictions giving vasanas, become purified. Vasanas are like cloud. It obstructs the sun as well as refracts sunlight. But if the cloud begins to give room for the light to pass through, then that is what we say, vasana is getting purified. Once vasana gets certain purity, divine light passes through it, and your whole personality begins to enjoy amazing grace operating through your life. And the more the vasanas, the clouds dissolve, greater is your enjoyment. So, with the extinction of vasanas, the heart of a sage becomes expansive. Expansive means human heart is always looking for who are my near and dear ones. And in your prayer, you confine your prayer only to the near and dear ones. Even among near and dear ones, who is the highlight? Great mathematics is involved. But when vasana is not there, all life is a part of you, dearer than your family. Sarve bhavantu sukhina. May all be happy. So imagine the heart that has very little goodwill. Now the heart becomes the moon, and goodwill is nectarine rays showering all over. That's what the goal of life is. That's what's awaiting for every heart to experience it. And you are, shockingly, you are bound to experience it, whether you like it or not. Because that's the goal of life. Can't get away from it. But you can accelerate the attainment by satsanga, etc. For him, even the entire universe becomes like a little fruit in the palm of his hand. The world always amazes the human mind. But when you are mature, understand the world you are experiencing is a magic play of your five senses. And your five senses are just a little bit before your expansive mind. So then the entire world becomes just like a little baby fruit in your palm of your hand. You can grab it, you can hide it in your mouth, you can throw it away. The world is no longer a big problem. Therefore, how can he be attached to the objects of the world? What is there for him to give or to receive? O Rama, ignorant people wage war and die for the sake of political power or for the delight of ruling a kingdom. I consider that delight worthless and despicable. When even the life of a creator that exists for thousands of yugas ultimately comes to an end. The Vedantic reader, student is told that even the idea, may I be Brahma, creator of the whole. So nothing will be without my control. That's what people like. The ego wants that. But even that type of idea is foolish, because Brahma, even Brahma's creation, though for human mind it is so extensive, but countless Brahmas have come and gone. Staying stupid for a million years doesn't make the stupidity authentic. So therefore, Do not go after perpetuating the duration of your life. Go after enlightenment. Don't go after, follow the ideal of those who have lived on and on and on. Without enlightenment. Just as the sun does not become attached to a mirage that it happens to create by its own luminous rays, scintillating upon desert sands. In the same way, a sage does not become attached to the objects of the world, which are only appearances in the self. All the world and all its glory all relate to Brahman, the absolute self. Just like all illuminations, all beautiful rainbows and colorings of the clouds, behind that, what is real? The sun. Similarly, all your experiences brought about through your mind and brought about through the minds of all that is nothing but Brahman, the Absolute. That's Brahmagyan, knowledge of the self. And that you attain that realization by intuitive function of the mind. So the same mind that has created the illusion, if you allow the mind to go through concentration, meditation, and the practice of yoga, japa, devotion to God, that mind becomes calm, like a calm lake. Once the lake is calm, it reflects the sky. The same mind now, instead of creating little shimmer, it becomes still, and the whole sky begins to shine. That movement is called intuitive movement. And that intuitive movement dawns in your mind in a progressive manner. If it dawns in a very small way, you call it inspiration. If it doesn't, perspiration. Even mighty mountains are nothing but the radiance of the self. The rivers and oceans are nothing but transitory mirages sustained by the rays of the divine self. A wise sage abides in the expansion of the self, wherein even the sun and moon have no excess. Na tatra suryo bhati na chandra tarakam, in Arati says, the waving of light ceremony, the verse is recited. There the sun does not shine. Moon and stars, they also move away. Nema vidyito bhanti. Electrical lightning has no place. Tameva bhasham anubhati sarvam. When God, it is because of the shining self, because of the self effulgence, because the self is shining. It is that light of the self that makes the sun shine, the moon shine, the stars shine. Tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. And with this I will conclude. Om Trayambakam yajamahe sugandhim pushti vardhanam urvarukma bandhanan mrityor mukshyamamritat am sarve bhavantu sukhina sarve santu niramaya sarve bhadrani pashyantu ma kaschid dukha bhag bhavet. Om shanti shanti shanti. Om Hari Om.